For a while, it seemed that the Jeff Bezos versus David Pecker story was dying down. You remember all hullabaloo that from January, the messy stuff about divorces, and hacks, and you know what pics. But then the MSM developed a bad case of Michael Cohen on the brain, and the story faded. Yet now the Bezos brouhaha is back, courtesy of the Washington Post, the newspaper owned by Bezos, and also thanks to the New York Times, which takes a slightly less kindly view of Bezos. As we shall see, the Post has just put its reportorial knife deep into the chest of Michael Sanchez, the brother of Bezos' girlfriend, Lauren Sanchez, whom Bezos and the Post seem to view as the bad guy, the one responsible for the embarrassing leaks to the National Enquirer. For his part, Michael Sanchez says that he is innocent, mostly, and he has own take on recent events, and yet on February 26, he was flattened by 2,500 words of fresh Post reportage. Then on March 4, the Times jumped in with a piece headlined, "How Jeff Bezos Went to Hollywood and Lost Control." The story wasn't that bad, and yet still, perhaps the Times is enjoying the spectacle of the owner of the rival liberal national newspaper suffering some. As the Times put it, Mr. Bezos is at the center of an honest-to-God melodrama, full of salacious revelations, family betrayals, and international intrigue. Those words, international intrigue, certainly do fit Bezos. The Amazon honcho does, indeed, have a lot of power. And that gets Virgil thinking. You've probably noticed it, too. Jeff Bezos looks a lot like Ernst Blofeld, the fictional villain in several of the early James Bond movies. And to bring things more up to date, Blofeld also was the inspiration for Dr. Evil, as portrayed by Mike Myers in the Austin Powers films. Of course, nobody is accusing Bezos and his global company, Amazon, of doing anything like what Blofeld and his international outfit, Spectre, were imagined to be up to. Yet still, as the founder and chief executive of the world's second most valuable corporation, who has also spent billions to develop his own private rocket company, Bezos is a movie-worthy figure, and he has had his recent moment of notoriety. Indeed, his response to that notorious moment has revealed the full extent of his planetary potency. That moment started with the January 9 announcement that he and his wife were getting a divorce. Okay, so divorce itself isn't notorious anymore, but the very next day, the National Enquirer published some lurid details, complete with paparazzi photos, about Bezos' affair with Los Angeles TV personality Lauren Sanchez. Trump, of course, has long sniped at Bezos and the newspaper he bought in 2013, The Washington Post. Trump believes the Post is biased against him and his presidency and, furthermore, that Amazon has been getting a sweetheart deal on shipping rates from the U.S. Postal Service. Meanwhile, Trump is known to be close to David Pecker, the chief of American Media Incorporated, AMI, publisher of The Enquirer. On January 21, The Enquirer struck again, publishing racy text messages between Bezos and Sanchez. By now the rumor mill was going strong, not only about Bezos, his marriage, his company, and his judgment, but also about any possible Enquirer connection to Trump. Moreover, there were rumors that the government of Saudi Arabia might be involved because the Saudis and the Post have been in a feud since a Post columnist, Jamal Khashoggi, was murdered at the Saudi embassy in Istanbul last October. And to complicate things further, the Saudis and the Trump family, including Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, are known to be tight. Then, on February 7, Bezos posted his account of the Inquirer story, including the sensational allegation that the tabloid had tried to blackmail him over lewd personal photos that it had obtained. Indeed, not only did Bezos give his side of the story, but he also, using the authority of his well-known celebrity security consultant, Gavin de Becker, threw in 4 mentions of Trump and 5 mentions of Saudi Arabia. So while the story was often played for laughs, sample headline, Bezos exposes Pecker, the underlying narrative could be vastly more serious. Bezos' implication seems clear: Trump and the Saudis are somehow tied to the Inquirer's scoops. Indeed, as if there were any need to juice things up further, it was even suggested by others, although far from proven, that the Saudis had used Israeli spyware to hack Bezos. The New York Post headline on February 8, 2019. Stephanie Keith/Getty Images. So by now, we can see that we have the makings of a new James Bond-ish saga. The world's richest man, owner of one of the nation's most important newspapers, a man willing to play hardball with the largest metropolis in the U.S., New York City, over a new corporate location, which he will now put elsewhere, now finds himself stalked, and perhaps even hacked, by a prominent tabloid publication which he reportedly considered buying, as a way of shutting down the story. In the meantime, even as multi-billion-dollar divorce proceedings begin, insinuations and accusations swirl around the President of the United States, as well as an exotically wealthy foreign government. And oh yes, all of this can be further connected, maybe, to the special counsel investigation of Robert Mueller, who seems to be casting a wide international net. Indeed, Fox News legal analyst Andrew Napolitano, who admittedly is becoming Shepard-Smithian in his anti-Trump stance, says that the blowback from the Inquirer story could doom Trump. For what it's worth, Napolitano's disdain for Trump now seems to extend far beyond legal issues. He disdains Trump for just about everything. So will Mueller, in fact, get involved in the Bezos-Pecker story? How about the Trump-loathing Democrats who now control the House? To borrow the Inquirer's old slogan, inquiring minds want to know.